Hello, everybody. Of course, welcome back to another episode of XtalknIsh with your boy X.
And this,
You already know what to do. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast. If you are on our Facebook page, please go ahead and hit that like button. If you are on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that red subscribe button. And also, as well, go ahead and hit that notification bell so you can be notified for shows like this one in the future.
ding.
Thank you for that, Ish. And as well, if you are on Twitter, go ahead and check us out on Periscope at X Talking Ish, and as well on my personal page, which I'm going to go ahead and retweet right now at X underscore Williams 81. Ishmael, we are here, of course, once again previewing week 7 of the NFL season. And we are about 2 more weeks away until we are about halfway of the NFL season. It happens just that quickly. We talk about it all the time. It's a fast, long season, and we are already here when it comes to we're about halfway point, and we're starting to see some teams maybe starting to separate. These next couple of weeks, we're going to start seeing who are contenders, who are pretenders. We have some games this upcoming week where we still don't know who these teams are, and we'll talk about that very soon. And it's still that's what makes the NFL that interesting because every weekend is very big. We really don't know who teams are until about week 9, week 10. And even with that, just because the team is on a 6-7 game win streak doesn't mean that they can't get clipped by a team that isn't supposed to beat them. That's why, of course, they call it any given Sunday. With that being said, before we do dive into these games, Ish, I want to ask you how you doing today.
I'm doing well, man. I'm just a little disheartened, a little sad. The Texans are back, so we have to watch their games again.
Yes, for the most part, Sundays are a blessing for all of us here in Houston, except for, of course, if you live in Houston and have to watch the Houston Texans play. But I will give everybody some good news. If you don't care too much about watching the Texans, you can always, of course, make some money this upcoming week off of the Texans, and I will dive into that very, very soon once we get into our betting portion of the show. With that being said, let's go ahead and get right into the first game that we're going to talk about. Falcons Bengals. This game, let's be real, it's just probably not one of the sexier games on this Sunday slate, but I think this is a game that people might want to tune into. This might be a game where you might see a lot of points being put on the board. Um, Two teams that I'll say one team has kind of underachieved coming off of their Super Bowl run, and you have a team that is I feel as though maybe a little overachieving. Both these teams come in at 3-3. Again, I don't think both teams expected to be at this mark at this point of the season. So that's what makes it interesting for this matchup because imagine if the Falcons beat the Bengals, they're over a 500 team. The Bengals are searching for answers with a team that was returning from the Super Bowl and then added pieces to hopefully get better. Ish, how you see this game playing out?
Yeah, for me, it's exactly as you said. One team that many people may view as underachieving versus another team that a lot of people will say are overachieving. I think we and a couple of people pointed out earlier in the season or even before the season started that Atlanta wasn't a team to necessarily sleep on. While they are rebuilding, they aren't a horrible team, and it was more so about just being able to stay in games, finish games off. And they've been able to do that. They're 6-0 against the spread this year. So they are able to keep games close. They are playing games close. And I think the big part of that is that they are the third best rushing team in the league. They are able to control the time of possession. They're able to control the clock. And they kind of just, grind it out and really old school kind of football, right? Like they play defense when they need to play defense. They run the ball hard and they just kind of grind out games. For me in this game, I think that as long as they're able to keep this game somewhat close, they don't allow Joe Burrow to go off and throw for 300 350 or so yards. I think that they're going to keep it close. They're going to do what they've been doing all season, and they're going to find a way to sneak out and win this game through that crazy rushing attack, which, I mean, you look at it and you're thinking Cordell Patterson is your lead running back. Really, you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. You're not really throwing the ball well at all. But hey, it's easier to stop than it's harder to stop than you think. So I think Atlanta's going to win this game. I think that Cincinnati is pretty much where they should be. They're kind of just in the middle average. We don't really know what to expect. I think last year they made that run to the Super Bowl, and it was more so about getting hot at the right time, less so about the team just having, crazy talent and being one of the better teams in the league.
I mean, don't get me wrong, and just piggyback off of what you said about the Bengals. The Bengals have talent. I mean, but also the other 31 teams in the NFL have talent as well, too. Just because you are a bad team does not mean you don't have talent. There's talent all around the NFL. But like you said, Ish, it just maybe could have been just like I see in the MLB right now when it comes to maybe like the Philadelphia Phillies. Might not be the greatest of, players playing on that team, but you're getting hot at the right time. And that's what it seemed as though that what the Bengals was able to do last season, carry that momentum into the Super Bowl. And it just doesn't seem like it's still picking up where they left off last year. And that's okay because we're still early in the season. But the reason why I picked the Bengals is because this is a game where you have to win. And there's other games that I see moving forward that we're going to talk about when it comes to certain teams. This is a game you have to win. If you do not win this game, you might as well get ready for next season. And
I don't think so.
And what I mean by that is the division for them is still open.
Yeah,
the AFC North is still wide open. I'm not saying that they cannot win a division. I'm not saying that they can't make the playoffs. I'm just speaking of expectations for the Bengals and the Bengals players themselves on what they expected from themselves and how they viewed themselves, which don't get me wrong, this is not college, right? This is not back at LSU anymore where they can just come out here and just beat up on all these other college teams. These are grown men making money, supporting their family, okay? And I never expected the Bengals to go back-to-back. I never expected them to go back to the Super Bowl this year. That wasn't my thought process for the Bengals. It was, can you win the division? Can you get back into the playoffs again? And can you just prove to everybody that last season wasn't a fluke? If they want to do that, it starts right here in Cincinnati as a 6.5-point favorite against a team that, like you said, good team, going to surprise some teams here and there, beating teams that they're probably not supposed to. I love Cordell Patterson. I think he is probably the most underrated offensive weapon in the NFL. But he cannot come in here and run all over the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Bengals are expected to make a postseason run. I think what Cordell Patterson is doing for the Falcons is unbelievable. The way Arthur Smith has set up these offensive game plans, not just for him, but of course everybody else in the office still need to get Kyle Pitts more involved.
Man, I was just gonna say, don't leave out the best blocker in the league.
You're foolish. But once all that comes together for the Falcons, watch out. I like seeing Cordell Patterson back there. I can't even say, oh, it's a throwback. No, this is like, I don't know, because again, Cordell Patterson I was looking at him more like a package guy in the backfield. I was looking at him to maybe run the ball 4 or 5 times a game. They're giving him the ball 15, 20 times a game. He's missed a couple of games due to injury, but whenever he's in the backfield, he is a threat. And if you don't believe that, he will run all over you. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Lions and Cowboys. And of course, we know how important and significant this game is. Of course, Dak is back. Dak Prescott is back at the helm. And it seems as though we're not really worried too much about a quarterback controversy anymore. It seems as though Dak slides right back into the starting quarterback position as he rightfully deserves.
Bring Rush back.
Well, I honestly think it will all depends on how these next 2 to 3 weeks pan out.
Rush back to Rush.
We all know that Dak is the guy, and Dak is going to lead his Cowboys moving forward to a playoff berth, hopefully for the Cowboys. But like we talked about in previous episodes, is what happens if Dak comes in and all of a sudden the Cowboys lose momentum and want to throw the ball all around the field, not stick to the basic game plan as in running the ball, playing solid defense. Then all of a sudden you're 1-2 after 3 games with Dak. What happens now, Ish?
Nothing, because they're going to stick to their guns and try to make it prove a point and say Dak's the guy, regardless of whether or not they struggle. Luckily for them, they pick up the Lions this week, which, although the Lions are a really high scoring offense, they've been able to play offense. They haven't been able to play defense this year. So, I mean, I think this is going to be a pretty decently easy win for the Cowboys, because the Cowboys defense, as we saw, even in a losing effort to the Eagles, they're one of the top defenses in the league. Like, they are one of the top defenses in the league. They're able to get pressure on the quarterback. They're able to do the things that you expected top defense to do. Now, on the back end, do they take risk, which then come back to bite them in the butt? Yes, they do. Number one being Mr. Diggs. But at the same time, when things go well for them, they go well. And I think against, average, below average, bad teams, this defense is just too good for those teams to really hang around with them. And as long as the offense does what they're supposed to do, they should be able to put these teams away without any concern. Now, my concern is, will there be some rust from Dak, and do they allow teams to stick around and hang in these games, which then give people a little bit of confidence going into the late quarters, and somehow they sneak out with the win? That will be my only concern, but I don't think that's going to happen against the Lions. I think the Cowboys are going to take care of business.
Shout out to Travis Crow. We have our designated Cowboys fan in the house. It says morning, fellas. Morning to you as well, sir. Of course, another little tidbit. I have a couple of family members that will be making the trip from Houston to Dallas to go check out this game. I was invited. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it this go around, but I plan on maybe seeing a game or two this season. I might be in NRG next Sunday for Texan Titans. Might be going to that one. We shall see. But for the Cowboys, this is the game where you, of course, obviously slide Dak back in, and everything should, on the offensive side of things, cylinders should start rolling again, and everything should start getting back to what it needs to be on the offensive side of the ball. Look, we're not worried about Dak in the regular season. Like, let's just be real. Like, even if they lose this game against the Lions, we're not worried about Dak in the offense and the Cowboys defense in the regular season. It's the postseason. It's really the post. And also this. Before I even get to the postseason, let's remind everybody, right now they're looking up in the division. Right now the Cowboys looking up, because your boy Danny Dimes at the moment is ahead of the Cowboys in the division. So if we were to go to the if the playoffs were to start right now, I don't know. I think the Cowboys might be the 7th seed. I'll have to go look. Okay, yeah, there might be the 7th seed in the playoffs at that moment. So the Cowboys better hope the Giants start, falling off a little bit so they can catch up some ground on them. But it's gonna be interesting to see. It'll be 6. Okay, it'll be interesting to see how the Cowboys, not just the Cowboys, I'm sorry, the whole NFC East plays out over these next 5 weeks, because we thought it was either the Cowboys division to win or the Eagles division to win. Could the Giants all of a sudden out of nowhere take the division from both of these guys? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. First of all, sir, it's out of nowhere, because you did not pick the Giants to win the division.
It's not out of nowhere. Danny Dimes, as long as Danny Dimes is a quarterback, they always had a chance. He just needed the people around him to step up and finally do what they're supposed to do. Everybody
that's listening and tuning in right now, please tell Ish that he don't even believe what he's talking about right now. Okay? Because he's not. He don't believe that. You don't. I'm just being honest. Just like you don't believe in Matt Ryan.
Oh, definitely. I don't believe in Matt Ryan.
And of course, speaking of Matt Ryan, of course, the Indianapolis Colts come into Nashville to take on the Tennessee Titans. Titans are a 2.5-point favorite. Ish, I'll let you take this one first, and I'll wrap it up, and we'll move on.
I'm gonna just go out. I'm gonna go out and just say it. I don't care what Matt Ryan did last week against the Jaguars. I don't believe in that man. I don't believe what he did last week. So I am picking none other than the TITANS Titans, the best, because the Titans are going to go ahead and do what they did in week 4. I think they just go out, they run the ball, they pass the ball on play action, and they play decent enough defense to mess with Mr. Matt Ryan, who, if you allow him, he will lose the game. We all have seen it. And Titans walk out and sweep the Colts this year. They sweep the Colts. They get up on them, and that gives them an easy path to the victory of the AFC South, because I think once you win this game, if you're the Titans, it's done.
Yeah, and this is very unusual in the NFL, where I wouldn't say the division can kind of be determined before you even get
early.
to midway
man.
break. But
why they got them playing back? Like they played their
usually
2 games early in the season.
Usually the Titans and Colts game, and also the Titans and Texans usually will be played around week 15,
Last
16,
2 weeks.
17 of the season. But they've changed it up to where the Titans and Colts are playing twice within a 3-week span.
No, we need to change that back, please.
And for the Titans to be able to pull off a road victory in Indy, which honestly surprised me, because usually the Colts will split that 1-1. And I spoke about this 3 weeks ago when I said that, look, I wouldn't surprise me at all if the Titans win this game, which they did, and then the Colts win the game in Nashville, because, again, usually they split. And what I saw from that performance, and not just that performance, but from the Colts moving forward, I'm just not sold on them. They have won their last 2 games against the Jags and the Broncos, but we know how the Broncos are. And with the Jags, too, we still don't even know who they really are. Like, we want them to be good, but it seems as though they don't want to be good. So we're trying to still figure out who the Jags really are. And for the Titans, it seems as though that the Titans still at this moment are the king of the South. So until the Colts make a statement, which they can do here in Nashville today, it's the Titans' game to lose. Like you said, as long as you run the ball, make sound throws, don't turn the ball over, Ryan Tannehill, you should win this game. Matt Ryan, I expect for him to have a decent passing game, because the Titans defense is going to take away Jonathan Taylor, take away that rushing game to make Matt Ryan throw. So that means either Matt Ryan is either going to be he's either going to be having a 350-yard passing game with multiple touchdowns and no picks, or it's going to be a 300-yard passing game with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. We do not know, but we do know that Matt Ryan is going to be throwing the ball around the field, and we'll see what happens. Derpy Gaming says Colts win today. Titans have no passing game. The Falcons have no passing game either, but 3-3. At the end of the day, it's not about what type of game you have. It's about winning the game by any means. So we'll see what happens with that game. That'll be interesting to check out in the AFC South. Let's move on to the Packers and the Commanders. The Packers come in as a 4.5-point favorite into Washington, D.C. Ish. I'll start this one off because there are a lot of question marks surrounding the Packers. Let's be real. We know who the Commanders are. They're just not good. They're not good, and they're not going to get better anytime soon. Carson Wentz goes on IR due to his finger. Taylor Heineke will be getting the start today. And Aaron Rodgers is searching for receivers. He is searching for somebody that can catch the ball. Please, somebody. And I see the Packers winning, but I think this is going to be a lot closer game than people expect. I don't think the Packers come in here and beat the Commanders by 2 or 3 touchdowns, as they should. They should, with Chase Young being out, William Jackson III being out, Carson Wentz being out. They should win this game handily. But for the Packers, I'm worried about them, Ish. I don't see them winning the division. And if they keep on keeping on, they might not even make the playoffs, Ish.
Okay.
Let me
say this. I do agree with you, and I've been saying it for 2 weeks now. Packers are on red alert. All right, red alert. I've been trying to let everyone know this is a red alert. This is not a joke. This is not a situation where it's just like, they're gonna figure it out kind of thing. No, there are some real issues going on in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers does not trust a soul out there at wide receiver right now. You can see it. You can tell. Obviously, Tunyon's getting a lot of targets because that's who he trusts. Randall Cobb being out didn't help because that's who he trusts, right? Like, Aaron Rodgers has some serious trust issues with the receivers, and I don't know what they need to do to figure that out and get into a situation where he starts to trust them more, where they trust in the offense and the plays that are called. I think the offensive coordinator, the plays that have been called, the play calling has been poor. They need to run the ball more. They need to establish the run, but they also need to find a way to get some good mixture in there and make it a little less predictable, because it's been way too predictable on the offensive side. I think defensively, they've been up and down on a roller coaster, and normally the offense would be playing well enough that it would cover up some of those mistakes on the defensive side, and we wouldn't be talking about them. We would just kind of be like, oh, well, they just got to put it together in the playoffs. But there are too many concerns right now for Green Bay for us to just glaze over it. It is bad in Green Bay. Luckily for them, they're playing the Commanders, who are worse. The Commanders are absolutely terrible. They are god-awful terrible right now. No Carson Wentz, like you said. I mean, the list goes on and on for who they're missing. And at this point, they can't miss anyone, because they need everybody they can get on that field so that they can show something respectable. Okay. As of today, the Green Bay Packers going to win this game. They should. If the Green Bay Packers lose this game, even with all the concerns that I mentioned, I don't think they should lose this game. But if they lose this game, people going to start losing jobs.
That's how you feel?
Yeah, jobs will be lost. If they lose to the Commanders, jobs will be lost.
And as we speak, I'm, of course, looking at the line once again, and it dropped from 4.5 to 4 now at the moment. So also word when it comes to David Bakhtiari, I'm pretty sure he should be playing. He was questionable coming into this game. Sammy Watkins should be playing as well. That's really, this is not Sammy Watkins of 8 years ago. So, honestly, that's just another name. That's not even really a contribution to the offense. So,
he trusts him a little bit more than he trusts the other guys. So,
I understand that, but again, when you draft a wide receiver first round, that first rounder has to step up as well too. That's the problem over there in Green. Well, that and other things. That's the problem going on in Green Bay. Another problem as well too. Before we move on, the Packers and the Commanders are scoring 17 points a game. Both teams. That's a problem. That's a problem. Also, again, before we move on, Aaron Rodgers is also posting his the biggest QBR drop amongst any quarterback in the league at the moment. So it's not all on him, not blaming him, but you are a part of it, sir. So if the Packers, that's going to be interesting. We go from a team that's on the hot seat from all around to a team that's having a fire sale when it comes to letting go any and everybody, except for a couple of people. They talked about the Carolina Panthers talked about how they are going to be keeping a couple of their core players, but everybody else is for sale. And as we saw, the biggest trade, Mr. CMC heads to the Bay, who will also be playing in the Kansas City game as well this upcoming Sunday. We'll talk about that shortly as well. Of course, the day after their game last week, we saw I forgot the wide receiver name. My bad. For the Panthers.
DJ Moore.
No, not DJ
Robbie
Moore.
Anderson.
Thank you, Robbie.
DJ Moore is the one that they said they're not trading.
They're not trading. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Apparently, DJ Moore will be staying there in Carolina, but Robbie Anderson, of course, is in Arizona now as well. And I don't know. I could be wrong, but if you want to get out of Carolina, maybe just throw a tantrum on the sideline, start acting a fool, pull Antonio Brown. Throw your pass in the stand, throw the deuces up. You might get traded. So if you DJ Moore over there and you want to come to, Kansas City, Packers, Tennessee, go ahead, act a fool for a little bit. The Buccaneers come in as a road favorite by 13-ish. That, first of all, that's unheard of. Second of all, the Buccaneers have been having these point spreads of being favored over the last couple of weeks to where I don't know who in Vegas assume or think that they're just going to be covering these spreads, but let's not, because they were I think a 9-point favorite last week against the Steelers, and they lost that game. I'm not saying the same thing is going to happen today, and I don't even think the Panthers are going to cover the spread. I just feel like this line is very disrespectful. That's just how I see it. And I also feel bad about our boy PJ Walker. because he's just going to be him and himself out there on the offense. I mean,
they got Deontay Foreman. He decent.
I mean,
Tua Hubbard is decent.
Yes,
I mean,
but
they
I'm
got
talking
DJ
about.
Moore,
You want my boy PJ Walker to be dinking and dunking to running backs all day? That's what you want?
Yes. Yeah, screen right, screen left. That's going to be the offensive playbook. Screen right, screen left. We're going to mix in some running back screens and some tunnel screens, and that's what we're running the whole day. I mean, what option do you have outside of that? We're going to run dive, and then we're going to run screen, and we're going to alternate those plays throughout the entire game and hope that one of them breaks for a really long game. That's it. There's not much else on that offense, to be honest. No, but realistically, I'm just going to say it right now. Adam Silver, the word is out on the street that Adam Silver is going to be watching teams in the NBA for tanking. I think he needs to change his investigation to the NFL because the Carolina Panthers are tanking. The Carolina Panthers are officially on tank watch. They are tanking right now. They do not want to win any more games. They want to get the first pick. Baker Mayfield, get up out of there. Sam Darnold, get up out of there. I mean, quarterback. Hey, if I'm CJ Stroud, if I'm Bryce, my man, if I'm even who's the guy from Kentucky? Levis. I think
Will
his name.
Levis.
Yes. Will Levis. If I'm all of them, I start throwing interceptions right now. Next week, I'm throwing interceptions, okay? I'm going to wait till we get up by like maybe 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. Then I'm going to start just throwing interceptions. Or I'm going to start tripping over my own feet. You know why? Because I don't want to go to Carolina, okay? I don't want to go to Carolina. And Carolina's currently taking to pick one of you. So I'm putting all of y'all on high alert because Carolina's coming for you. And if I were you, I might just trip a couple times on the sideline and call it a day.
Fracture Walnut says, go ahead and move on to the next game. This is going to be a blowout, Bucks by 25. I'm not mad at you at all when it comes to some of these but when some of these college quarterbacks saying, hey, let's just go ahead and wait for next year. But we all know that there's going to be a GM out here that's going to go ahead and pick an Ohio State quarterback, an Alabama quarterback, and expect for them to save their franchise. And we all know how that works out for most teams in the NFL. So y'all go ahead and keep on sipping on that OSU Alabama quarterback juice, and we'll see where that lands, y'all.
Hey, Tua's not doing too bad.
Hey, I ain't say it, but Tua was off the field for a couple weeks. One more good hit. He might not be on the field for a minute, so we'll see how that plays out. All right, last game before we get into our segments for the day. The Giants and the Jaguars. Again, that's what this is one of the games I was talking about, is when it comes to this is an interesting matchup because the records, I think we throw the records out of the window for this one because both teams, I think, can come with it. And it really, we're really going to see who's who. Can the Jaguars play like they played the first 2 weeks of the season? Defense-wise, was lights out. Offense, make sound throws, run the ball, get the ball to your playmakers and win the game. Can the Giants do the exact same thing they've been doing for the last 6 weeks and continue on with what they're doing and continue to get better and win games that they're probably not supposed to win? Ish, I'll let you start this one off first.
Yeah, for me, this was a tough pick, even with my boy Danny Dimes being in this game. It was a tough pick for me because I think the key matchup for this game that everybody needs to be watching is that Jaguars front seven versus the Giants run game. Because the Jaguars front seven is no joke. They put some time and effort and they drafted into that front seven, and that front seven has rewarded them. They are currently the third best rushing defense in the league. I mean, they've only held teams to, they only have 89. That's all they're giving up. 89. All right. Like, this team is really good at stopping the run. So Saquon Barkley coming in there, he's going to have to find a way. That line's going to have to find a way to run the ball. The reason why I say that, the Giants are 31st in passing offense. That is, for those people that can't count, second to last in passing offense, okay?
Hold on. You tell me Danny Dimes isn't performing? What?
Bro, have you seen who Danny Dimes is throwing to?
I mean,
have you seen who Danny Dimes is throwing to?
It's Danny Dimes. He's the greatest quarterback to ever lace him up.
Any Danny Dimes slander, all right? Once again, the Giants have failed to put weapons around Danny Dimes to allow Danny Dimes to do what he has to do. But hey, guess what? Danny Dimes finds a way anyway. because he's that great, okay? And that is why I'm picking the Giants today, because I think that the Giants are going to find a way. Danny Dimes is going to find a way to make plays when he has to make plays. If he has to do it with his feet, if he has to throw a screen to Saquon, if he has to throw it to himself, one hand Danny will find a way to beat this Jaguars defense. And I think that the New York Giants just have this mentality, this swag that they've gotten from their new coach, Mr. Dable, where they are out to prove a point to everyone in this league. Come on, see us in New York, because we got something for you.
I love everything that you said, Ish. I'm gonna use this word. I'm perplexed. I'm honestly perplexed on this game because I just do not know where this is going to lead. I really do not know. If this game was in New Jersey and at MetLife, I would easily, it's the Giants. I'll take the Giants, but because it is in Jacksonville, this game is probably going to be a 75 to 80 degree type of game. I'm not saying that's going to make the Giants, that's not a type of weather that the Giants is acclimated to, but that's just something that we'll have to look into to see if the Giants are not able to play as well going into later in the game around late third, fourth quarter. We'll see if that is something that will take a toll on the Giants players. Jacksonville, where you come in with a game plan, especially on the defensive side of the ball, where you can take away the run. That's the main thing. Game plan for the defense on the wall for the past week is going to say, stop Saquon, stop Saquon, stop Saquon. If you can do that and make Daniel Jones beat you, the Jacksonville Jaguars have an opportunity to win this game. But I think with Brian Dable and the way that they've been matriculating this offense throughout the season, I think they will have a game plan to where Saquon is the decoy, to where they're going to have quarterback rollouts, where they're going to have a lot of counters, where they're going to have the defense flowing to one side, thinking that, Saquon's getting the ball, and all of a sudden you have all this other side of the field to play with, and Daniel Jones able to make sound passes, wide receivers able to get the ball in space, make plays. That's why I'm picking the Giants. I'm impressed with the Giants. I'm thinking that they can continue this, but in reality, we have to see how the second half of the season looks, because we talk about this all the time, Ish. There are teams that look good in the first half of the season and then just completely fall off. So let's see how they look after this game moving forward. All right. We'll go ahead and get to everybody's favorite segment, If I Was a Betting Man. And I have some fun things to announce today. Fortunately / unfortunately, since we live in Texas, the greatest nation in the world. Apparently in Texas, they don't want us to be great when it comes to betting on sports. So we have to backdoor it. And these bets will be for my friends and family members that are outside of the Texas region, Louisiana, Vegas, Chicago, of course, those areas where you can bet. I have those picks. And then I also have a special picks off of this app called Prize Picks, where I also have a promo code that you guys can use if you want to use some free money to play on this app called Prize Picks, where I've been playing for about a week and a half-ish now. Shout out to my boy Lee that put me on and also gave me a little extra money for that. So I just want to return the favor for everybody. And we'll get to these picks very shortly. The first one I do have is the money line for the Browns to win the game. They are at a plus 235. They are taking on, of course, their rivals, the Ravens. I think because of the reason why I'm picking this game for this to be a sneaky game for the Browns to win, because the Ravens have not played well at home this season at all. They struggle at the bank, and this is a divisional game to where the Browns and the Ravens are kind of evenly matched, especially in the rushing department. If the Browns can run the ball and keep Lamar Jackson off the field and hope and wish that Lamar makes that silly end of the game mistake, wouldn't surprise me at all if the Browns come out with a win in Baltimore. All right. Over under 1.5 passing touchdowns for Ish's boy, Danny Dimes. I got to go with the over for this one. Got to go with the over, mainly because, again, you're playing against a really good defense that's probably going to try to stop the run. Yes, they are ranked 31st, second to last in the league in passing. But like I spoke before earlier in the previous topic, if the Jacksonville Jaguars are able to stop the run, it's going to have to put the pressure on Danny to perform. I think he steps up in this game and he throws for at least 2 touchdowns. Also, I have over under 0.5 interceptions for Tua. So obviously that means either 1 or 0 interceptions. I have the over for that one. They will be playing on Sunday Night Football. I think he throws at least 1 interception due to him just returning back to the field. They're going to throw the ball all over the field. And I think Minka's going to get him at least once or off of some type of tip ball at the line of scrimmage, a free-for-all. And I just see just 1 interception. Nothing to knock Tua at all. I just see 1 interception coming from Tua in the Sunday night game. So, like I spoke about before, that was our picks for the betting line. This is our picks for the prize picks to where you can win some money, legit money off of prize picks. So if you don't have the app, I'm just letting y'all know, check it out. I think it's a pretty cool app. It allows you to win some money. If you want to use our promo code, it is capital PR dash capital JVA61PN. So if you are tuning in to our podcast, you're more than welcome to take that promo code and use it to, win you some picks and some free money. So with that being said, I have Matt Ryan over under 248.5 passing yards against Tennessee Titans. I have more, mainly because I expect the Titans to stop the rush. Matt Ryan will be throwing the ball. Wouldn't surprise me at all if he has a 300-yard passing game. That's just my opinion. Also, Derek Carr. I have Derek Carr over under 250.5 passing yards. They take on the Houston Texans. I have the over for that one. I have Jonathan Taylor over under 70.5 rushing yards. I have the under for that. Jonathan Taylor, when they first matched up with the Tennessee Titans, was held to under 60 yards rushing. I see that happening again in Nashville. And I also have the Buccaneers defense over under 3 sacks in Carolina. I took the over for that one. PJ Walker, unfortunately, might be running for his life. And I went ahead and took the over for that one. So if I hit all of those picks, I give me a nice little bonus. So I went ahead and took advantage of that one. And as well, before we get back to the picks, like I said before, hey, I know y'all keep looking at me and saying, hey, that's a damn good haircut from Xavier Williams. And if you ever want to go and get your haircut by Mr. Jason Williams himself, you can check out Imperial Kings Barbershop at 9218 FM 529. Go ahead and give him a call at 346-355-8255 to schedule you a haircut appointment to make sure you get sharp and looking good for your, of course, upcoming week. With that being said, let's go ahead and get back into our picks, and we'll dive right into the Browns and the Ravens. This is another divisional matchup. Ish, I'll let you take this one first.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep it nice, short, and sweet. All that mess you were talking about before, I don't believe none of that. The Ravens, while they haven't played perfect at home, they played well. The first half of most of those games have been all Ravens. Like the Ravens have played well.
Yeah. What happened at the end of the game?
Half.
What happened to the end of the game?
Okay. Hey,
it's just now how you start, right? Now how you start
is just trying to figure it out. Just give them a little bit of time. They need to figure out how to play 4 quarters. But I think this Ravens team has proven throughout the season that they're a really good team. That they're one of the top teams in the league. I think that it's just, for some reason, they just can't play 4 quarters. Like, the thing is, okay, everybody was talking about the Bills. They were up on that Bills team. They had the game, and then they gave it away, right? That's one of the best teams. That's one of the teams that people think are going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. So for this team to play with that team and be beating that team convincingly, only to give it away, I mean, come on now. When you look at how they played the Dolphins, yet again, another team that early in the season, everybody talking about before Tua got hurt, how, this is the Dolphins' year. This is what they're going to do. And they were whipping that team only to give it away in the second half. I think this Ravens team has proven that they are one of the top teams. They have what it takes to be one of the top teams in the AFC. It's just about putting those 4 quarters together. And I think it's kind of hard when you've had so many injuries the past couple of years and you've been a team that's kind of had to just scrap and just hope and pray. And it's weird being a team that comes and now you're on top, right? And now you're playing from a place of strength. I think it takes time to get used to doing that. It takes time to learn how to finish from that position. And I think that's where this team needs to figure it out. Namely, Lamar Jackson, you have been playing out of this world, but let's just be honest. When it counts, you haven't been there so far this season. And if you're looking to get the money that you deserve, which I think you still deserve it, regardless of whether or not you've been there at the end of the games, because you've put the team in the place to be in those positions, this is what they'll use against you. Let's just be honest. This is what they'll use against you to say you don't deserve that money. You have not been able to put it together when it matters at the end of these games. And I think moving forward, you're going to see it. You're going to see a difference in Lamar Jackson in these closing quarters of finishing these teams and learning how to put them away.
As you said, a mouthful. I love what you brought up when it comes to finishing not just games, but the quarters. We're guys that have been able to watch a guy like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers for most of their career. And one of the big things that a guy like Peyton Manning was able to do so successfully throughout his career was be able to capitalize on those end of the half drives, those 2 minute drives before the half, especially like a guy like Tom Brady, to where you were able to get a touchdown at the end of the first half. You get the ball back in the second half, score a touchdown in the first possession, and then you're pretty much putting that knife into the opponent's heart to try to finish off this game. And that's something that will take Lamar Jackson to the next level. Like you said, if you have everything, Lamar Jackson has everything. Like we're not in the business of knocking Lamar Jackson down. Like that's not what we're trying to do. But one thing about not just Lamar, but all these other quarterbacks in the league too, Josh Allen too, Patty Mahomes, it's everybody. You have to find ways to get better at everything. And that's one thing I will 1,000% agree with you is when it comes to finishing quarters, drives, halves, the damn game, you have to finish. And we believe in Lamar, but until Lamar consistently finishes games and put the fear back into the rest of the NFL, I don't think people are fearing Lamar Jackson this season as they have in the past. That's just my opinion. We'll see what happens again moving forward in the season. Lorenzo Guy says, got to have all 4 quarters. That's how you get to $1. Well, that's how you know also Lorenzo is a dad with that dad joke because that's not bad. That's not a bad dad joke. I like it. Fracture Wall also says, what is the over-under for Tua to get a concussion? I'm sorry.
Dang. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything on that one.
Come on, Fracture. Come on. This is a family show, okay? We can't be out here.
Oh, Lord. We can't be giving over-unders on people getting hurt.
Come on, Fracture Walnut. This ain't Twitter, okay? This ain't Twitter. All right, let's go ahead and move on to let's be real ish. This was probably a game we saw on the calendar before the season started. We're probably like, this is a game that I probably don't really care for.
Not me.
Well, the reason why I say this is because it was more of, I think people said, oh, well, the Broncos would probably be good by week 7, but the Jets would probably be the Jets, right? Well, that's what happens when you play the game and you don't rely on what's on paper, because the Jets are coming into this game not just as the better team, but also the 1.5-point favorite coming into Mile High, which is really unheard of an issue. If you don't mind doing the research for me right quick, but when's the last time the Jets were a road favorite in the NFL? It might be at least 6-7 years that the last time the Jets were a road favorite. We do know, of course, the Broncos will not be starting Russell Wilson due to his hamstring injury. So, of course, Tyler Rippon will be the quarterback at helm. But for the Jets, Ish, is this a game that the Jets have to win for themselves to make sure that they know that within themselves too that we can go into a game favorite, expected to win this game, and then quote go back to New York? Like, do we are we starting to see the building blocks for this new young Jets team?
I think we've been seeing the building blocks for the new young Jets team. I think we've been trying to. They've been doing that. They've been putting the pieces together. They've been giving these guys good running in the team. And I think one of the things that helped the Jets develop so quickly is that there were no expectations on this team coming into the season. So they were able to play their young guys without the fear of not meeting certain expectations and fans booing them or wanting them out of there. Like everybody knew and expected this team to have growing pains, to have a couple of years to, put things together. And for them to, turn around so quickly and be so good so quickly, I think it is it's a product of not having those high expectations. I think rookies on other teams who have higher expectations, you see teams scared to put them in because if they do not perform, then the fan base turns on them very quickly, and then that can have a negative effect on that player's mentality, their future, their career. So for the Jets, it really helped that they didn't have the pressure. The offensive guys were able to get a chance to really gel, come together, just play without any expectations, and look at where they are now. I think that for them, you just keep playing with the same mentality. There are no expectations. Nobody expected you to make the playoffs. Nobody thinks that you're going to make the playoffs right now. A lot of people still think you're fake. A lot of people still think you can't do it. So why not just go out and play without any pressure? And I think that's what they're going to do in Denver. The only concern I have is that, hey, this Denver defense is not bad. If anything, the Denver defense has been trying all year to carry Russell Wilson and this terrible offense that cannot put things together, and they just have not gotten any help from that offense. And when they do get help from the offense, well, it's a little too late, or we use all our timeouts and all these other things that Hackett, who doesn't know how to coach, does. I mean, not necessarily he doesn't know how to coach. He's just not a head coach. Let's just be honest. There's just some coaches that just not cut out to be head coaches. Mr. Hackett, you are not cut out to be a head coach. That's the end of the story. Maybe they lose this game and he gets fired. I hope they lose this game and let me not hope for somebody to get fired, but I hope they lose this game and then they
move to another direction.
Their coaching options.
I'll say this, and we don't ask for people to get fired. We don't want people to lose.
No. That's not what I'm trying to do that, man.
But, and I'm just going to use another baseball reference because I'm just using this because of what I've already seen. Like you said, Ish, maybe it is the head coach. Maybe it is the head coach that's holding the rest of this team back because the team has talent on both sides of the ball. I mean, it's not like this is a bum scrub Broncos team. It just seems as though that it's just not the right personnel there. I'm going to go to baseball when it comes to the Philadelphia Phillies. In the beginning of the season, they were mid 500, weren't playing up to their expectations. They fired Joe Girardi. At the time was, of course, a World Series champion, a guy that has managed teams in the past at a very high level. But they decided to go another direction. Ever since they have let go of Joe Girardi, they have been on fire. They obviously are in the playoffs. They are one game away from the World Series. I'm not saying the same thing is going to happen to the Denver Broncos. I'm just saying that maybe I'm agreeing with you when it comes to maybe if you let go of Hackett, who knows? Maybe moving forward, that could be the piece that was holding everything back. Maybe you go on a 7-3 run and you build on that for next year and use this for use for motivation and keeping the interim head coach for next season. Because with the new ownership group, they didn't bring in Hackett, right? They only signed Russell Wilson. So Russell Wilson's going to stay. He's not going anywhere. It's going to be interesting to see who comes in there. I know this guy has already been slated into being the next Cowboys head coach, but what if Sean Payton says, hey, I don't mind coming to Denver. If Walmart going to throw me this money, I might as well catch it and and be able to coach a guy like Russell Wilson and maybe get this Broncos train back to where it needs to be. And maybe we see Sean Payton in Denver instead of Dallas. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this organization and what they do, because the expectations for what they expected the season to be is not what it is at the moment. Greg also says the Broncos are a mess. What happens next with these guys? Greg, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, because, yeah, if the Jets blow out the Broncos at home-ish, that's probably what's going to happen. And Hackett probably will be let go. So we'll see what happens. All right, Texans, Raiders, of course, here. Our Houstonian fans, of course, they don't care too much about their redheaded stepchild of the Houston Texans. They are on the Astros train, and the little toot we call the Houston Rockets as well. The Texans are really the caboose without a hitch to the train, and they just be on their own thing. And at the moment, as y'all can see, Ish and I both took the Raiders.
I wanted to pick the Texans. I'm not even gonna lie.
I wasn't gonna pick the Texans. I was gonna say this is what I was gonna say about this game. And I'll leave it at this: if the Raiders don't win this game, you might as well pack it up. You might as well pack it up. I'm very serious, Ish. You might as well just get ready for next season, because the season's over with for you. I don't care who they have the rest of the season coming up. If you cannot beat the Houston Texans at home, you might as well. You're not going to the playoffs. You're not winning the division. Stop it. It's over for the Raiders.
I don't think they're going to the playoffs already, but
well, I'm just saying, Josh McDaniels, another opportunity for Josh McDaniels, a mediocre ass coach, to be able to be mediocre and get fired in the next 2 more years. That's what's going to happen if they lose to the Houston Texans.
I wanted to pick the Texans. I just don't have faith that the Texans do what they're supposed to do. It's going to be hard to grind out the run game, which is what has really been keeping them in most of these games. I mean, offensive rookie of the year, Dameon Pierce. I think just he's not going to be able to. It's going to be tough sledding for him. But if they're able to keep it close, I think they can win it. But David Mills, David Davis, whatever your name is, he need to go ahead and get out of there.
Greg said this is a winnable game for the Texans.
Yeah, I agree, Greg. I think it's a winnable game for the Texans.
Mills is still the QB, and of course, like I say to my wife all the time, when you're a quarterback that has 2 first names, or sorry, 2 last names, I should say, it's probably not going to work out for you. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the West Coast games. You have the Seahawks against the Chargers. I'll let you go ahead and start this one off.
Yeah, I just have the Seahawks in this one. I think the Chargers, there's just a lot going on with the Chargers at the moment. I just feel like, for me, Seattle, this is that opportunity. You've been hanging around, you've been doing some things, playing well. You're not far from home. It's not the time zone thing that we normally talk about when Seattle goes on the road. It's right there in your backyard. So just go ahead and win this game while the Chargers are still trying to figure things out. We watched them on primetime this past week, and to be honest, I wasn't that convinced. I'm just going to be honest with you. I thought, and I picked the Chargers to win this division. They still have a chance to win this division in the AFC West, but I'm just not convinced. Something looks off about these Chargers. Something just looks different for me. And I think Geno Smith is just going to continue to do what he's been doing and shocking the world, and he's going to play well. He's going to play well against the Chargers defense, and they're going to find a way to win this game.
Look, I'm not mad at anything that you said, especially with Geno. Every week, I'm going to continue to keep saying I'm very, very proud of him. He's on my ballot for comeback player of the year. I will say this, though. You're not wrong when it comes to worrying about the Chargers, but they are still battling a couple of injuries. Keenan Allen still isn't back on the field just yet, and they are still 4-2. So to be able to still be 4-2 with some of your key pieces missing, they are still in a decent spot. But I will agree, though, I am a little worried about the Chargers, because this might be the end for Brandon Staley. I think they move on from Brandon Staley. Like you said, it's just something, that offense is just too good to not be scoring minimum 30 points a game. I mean, it's just the quarterback is just too good. The running back is too good. The wide receiver group is just too good. It's just now you do have obviously injuries on the offensive line on the side of the ball. So I understand that the Chargers as a whole isn't what they should be, but you have enough pieces there to where you should. I mean, the record is saving him. He should be 4-2, probably best case scenario, maybe 5-1. If it was 2-4, we'd be looking at Chargers a lot differently. But because they are 4-2, they've been able to grind out some wins. We're going to give them the benefit of the doubt at the moment. If they are able to beat the Seahawks at home like they should, again, Brandon Staley will be fine for the next couple of weeks when it comes to being off the hot seat. But it wouldn't surprise me at all. You've been on point with some of these picks these past couple of weeks with the Seahawks coming into L.A. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Geno plays well. Their defense plays well. Of course, our boy Greg, UTSA, his boy, Mr. Tariq Woolen, would surprise me at all if he puts on a performance in LA for people to, catch eye of him. But again, it's the Chargers. I mean, you are in LA. You have to win this game. It's a division game. You need. I'm sorry, not a division game. I'm sorry. This is a game on the West Coast to where you're not worrying about traveling anywhere, right? Win this game. Move on to the next week. Greg says Herbert better not throw the ball towards any receiver that's being covered by Tariq Woolen. And as y'all heard, of course, I told y'all Greg was going to throw his boy out there. That's just an interesting game. Again, I think we have about 3 or 4 interesting games this week ish.
Oh yeah, there's a couple really good ones.
Man, let's see what happens with this one. This one as well ish. I'll let you start this one off first. This is your team, and yeah, let's run this one down.
Yeah, I think that this is. I don't think this game is as close as people think it's supposed to be. I think the Chiefs should go into San Francisco and win this game. I think there's too many issues with that San Francisco offense. Part of the reason why they went and traded for Christian McCaffrey, because they need to figure something out. They didn't know what they were going to do with Deebo Samuel. They didn't know if he was a running back, if he was a wide receiver, if he was a tight end, if he was H-back, if he was quarterback. They want him to be everything for this team. I mean, if he could throw the ball, I wouldn't be surprised if they would have taken Jimmy G out and put him at quarterback, because they don't know what they want to do with Deebo Samuel. And where in the past that seemed to be a recipe for success, I think it has hurt them. And that's why they had to go get Christian McCaffrey, because playing him as many snaps as they've been playing him in the backfield, you can look at his usage rate, and it's been horrible this year. He hasn't been getting the kind of touches in the right situations, and it's hurt not only him, it's hurt Brandon Ayuk, who he had a good game last week, but up until then, he had been having a below average season. Juszczyk hadn't been having that greatest season. Kittle not having that greatest season. I think that this offense has been what has been harming San Francisco. And at some point, I know some people will say, well, the defense didn't have the greatest game plan against Atlanta. I would say this: when you're carrying the team the entire season, at some point you're gonna have an off day, right? At some point you're gonna let them down, and that's what we even see with games. When the defense is the one holding the team into a game, well, you can't expect them to do it the whole time. Like offense, you got to score points, don't you? So it's going to be interesting to see the little that Christian McCaffrey plays, or if he plays, a good chunk. It's going to be interesting to see what this offense looks like moving forward. But because of all those issues on the offense side, I think this defense is going to do a good job of frustrating Patrick Mahomes and this Kansas City Chiefs offense. But I just don't see this San Francisco offense being able to do enough. They just can't figure it out right now. And if they are able to score points against Kansas City, if they're able to keep it close, they maybe sneak a win out. But I just don't see it. I don't see this offense doing it. I think they're still maybe 2 weeks away from bringing Christian McCaffrey in, and then we see, what the offense looks like with him in there.
Hey, so you said a mouthful. First of all, speaking of Kittle, let's go ahead and, of course, give a shout out to all the tight ends out there. National Tight Ends Day. Of course, them boys out there hype about, being a tight end. So you got to get a little bit of love. Shout out to the receivers, though. But on a serious note, though, I'm surprised, honestly, more than anything that you said that the Chiefs should just come in here and just take care of the 49ers, which you're not wrong, especially because of the Niners on the offensive side of the ball, still trying to figure things out. Kittle hasn't played the amount of reps that he probably should be playing this season so far. Might be relying on Deebo a little too much. But I'm interested to see how Christian McCaffrey is going to fit into this offense. He is expected to play. I know I talked to Lee about this early in the week. He was hoping that Christian McCaffrey was not going to play, but it seems as though that he will be playing. I don't think him solely will be the biggest difference maker, but it definitely does add it. I mean, hey, it adds an element to the offense to where you're as a defense, you're worried about a guy like Christian getting the ball. You're worried about a guy like Debo getting the ball. You're even worried about a guy like Brandon Ayuk getting the ball as well too, to where it's going to have to make you game plan and stay true to your game plan to not have somebody do more than what they need to do and just do your job, right? So maybe the Niners can concoct some things to where they're able to get Christian McCaffrey on a one-on-one matchup with a linebacker, right? To where they're able to get I don't see this happening, but a reverse to Debo and then a reverse to Christian McCaffrey. And then he has the whole field to work his magic. I don't see it really playing out in this game because of the opponent, but when it comes to the offensive for the 49ers, when we see them by week 14, week 15, we can see a whole different offense, how they play everything out, and hopefully Jimmy G is able to get the ball out to the right guys they need to get the ball out to, because that's really what it comes down to, really, is can Jimmy G get the ball out to his playmakers and not cause more turnovers than it needs to be. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up with our Sunday night pick, and then also we'll talk a little bit about Monday night, and we'll go ahead and get y'all up out of here for this morning. Steelers versus Dolphins. This is a lot of storylines for this game. You have Brian Flores returning back to Miami for the first time since the lawsuit. You have Tua Tagovailoa, of course, returning back since obviously his scary incident on Thursday Night Football just about 3 weeks ago. You also have the Miami Dolphins celebrating the 50-year anniversary for the only NFL team to go undefeated regular season, postseason, and Super Bowl. And of course, I'm talking about you guys, the New England Patriot fans, not y'all. The only one team in the NFL has done it. That's the Miami Dolphins. With that being said, with all the storylines that are going to be in place, Ish, how you see this game playing out?
I mean, I don't know, man. If Tua had been here, it was an easy pick of the Dolphins. It's a little bit harder to pick the Dolphins only because Tua is just coming back. There might be some rust there. We don't know what we're going to see. We don't even know if he's going to be able to finish the game. But I'm going to go ahead and go with the Dolphins because they're the better team at the moment. They're the better team, period. The Steelers are just not that good. They are going to find a way to win games throughout the season because they are coached by Mike Tomlin and they're an NFL team. They've got talent. But I just think the Dolphins should win this game. The Dolphins are a better team. The Dolphins are a team that should be making the playoffs. The Dolphins should win the game against a team that honestly I think aren't even in their league.
And as you see, the Dolphins line actually did just move up. It was a 7-point favor now at 7.5. I don't know why the line moved within an hour, but hey, it did. That's something, of course, Mike Tomlin and crew can definitely use as motivation. It seemed as though it worked last week against the Bucs. They were at home, though. With them traveling to Miami, that's going to be a whole completely different game. The only thing that benefits the Steelers more than anything is it being played at nighttime where they don't have to worry about the sun like that in Miami. The Dolphins, this is a game that they should win. This is a game that we hope to see Tua back integrated into the offense to where he picks up where he left off at. But let's be real, if Tua, I mean, we've seen in the last 3 weeks, if Tua is not there at quarterback, the Dolphins are just not, they're not who they were the first 5 weeks of the season. Like we cannot look at them, or I should say the first 4 weeks of the season, we cannot look at them as a AFC contender if Tua is not at the helm. That's just how I see that. All right, let's go ahead and move on from this game and talk a little bit about Monday Night Football. I know it's really not too much to talk about. This game before the season started, I don't know if people thought this was going to be a good game. I don't know. I didn't think there would ever be a good game, but just the way that the Bears are looking right now, the Patriots should take care of business at home, which apparently Ish's boy Zappy for your pappy should take care of business. And that's just how I see it on that one. I don't see a Bears upset at all in this one.
Make it snappy, pick Zappy. All right. We're gonna leave it at
Shirt's
that.
coming soon.
We're gonna leave it at that. Make it snappy and pick my boy Zappy because hey, as long as he's at the helm for the Patriots, I don't think they could do any wrong. Patriots gonna wax these boys, the Bears. The only thing is if the Bears defense decides, hey, we're playing at home, so maybe we should put on a little bit of showing or two. Maybe it might be interesting, but that offense has zero weapons, and Justin Fields, they don't even believe in you, my guy. They're not even trying to throw the ball. So.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to keep that very short and sweet. We appreciate y'all, as always, for tuning in to XtalknIsh, especially, of course, the pregame show. We will see y'all on Tuesday night to recap Week 7. I already know that there are going to be some upsets. There are going to be some games that we're going to look back on and be like, what the hell? It's been like that every week so far. So, I mean, wouldn't surprise me at all. We'll see what happens. Greg said it should be a federal crime the way that the Bears are doing Justin Fields.
Man.
Man.
You're not lying.
You ain't lying on that one. So with that being said, please go ahead tune in to Tuesday for our Week 7 recap right here on all of these streaming platforms. XtalknIsh at 9 o'clock. I'm sorry. 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. My apologies. I almost forgot about what time we went on. And we will see y'all then. Enjoy y'all Sunday slate of football. And also as well, if you're a Houstonian fan, hope you enjoy the Astros probably going to sweep the Yankees because we suck. So I hope y'all enjoy that as well too. So with that being said, we will see y'all we'll see y'all on Tuesday at XtalknIsh.
Peace.